Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Read TFOS, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called Billy Bob Space Trucker and is part of a series. If you're new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below in the description. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 14. The crustaceans had long been the secret service of the galactic government. Compared with most species, they were fierce warriors and ambush predators. Their hunter-killer castes could pounce on a target and sink back into the void with speed and accuracy that was legendary. They very seldom failed at a mission. This weighed heavily on B-Robbo, who had lost his hunter-killer caste to a single ugly little creature. His mandibles quivered with anger at the thought while he settled into the shadows, watching the briefing caste leader Leroy was giving. This creature, known as an American, is a subspecies of the greater human population. While we need to do proper analysis of all humans, what we've learned about these Americans is worrisome. Their body structure appears to be incredibly dense, as on par with super-heavy gravity creatures. But they do not possess a superior exoskeleton like ourselves. Their internal bone structure appears to be supplemented with incredibly dense layers of muscle. Considering they ingest capsaicin and large amounts of caffeine in drink they refer to as coffee, we can only assume they're highly poisonous as well as venomous. As the hunter-killers around the shadowy chamber clicked and chittered, Leroy used his clickers to signal silence. They do not possess claws of any kind, and their mandibles is insufficient for biting. But do not underestimate it. It makes up for this by being durable and strong. They also appear to be able to calculate complex firing equations in their head and fire ballistic weapons accurately while moving. This sent a hiss of surprise through the ranks. There were outbursts of disbelief at the information, but Leroy tapped on his holo display before him. The hunter-killers went quiet as they watched the security footage. Most had heard of his victory of the squad on Fellas, but the crustaceans were superior to them in nearly every way, and this did not concern them. The Vikesh, however, were strong combatants and fierce warriors who gave them challenge. Now they were watching this lone American take on and defeat an entire clan of battle brothers on his own. What are those weapons it's using? Ballistic weapons. Impossible. Ballistic weapons that small. How does he control them? I've never seen a ballistic weapon mounted on less than an armor crawler. I assure you he is wielding ballistic weapons. One seems to be focused on a single accurate high-impact shots. The other disperses smaller rounds in a much wider area. He also has some sort of fire-breathing method we don't understand. His use of fire goes beyond that as well. So this species must have high thermal tolerance. The crustaceans chittered and stirred at the news. Their hydrated mucus was what kept them operational outside of the water. If their enemy had some special method of bringing fire wherever he went, it did not bode well for them. We're waiting for the black market station to surrender, then we'll proceed to capture the targets, Leroy continued. B-Robbo ticked in annoyance at the idea. If he found them first, they wouldn't be captured, that was for sure. He'd rip them limb from limb. Den's body be damned, no one blinded two of his eyes and survived. Leroy was about to continue when Juvenile Gesh rushed into the room. Cast leader, the station has sent us a message. Good. They have surrendered? No. They say that they don't know who we're talking about. What? His ship is docked with them. We just checked, cast leader. It isn't. Leroy hissed out and tapped on the holo projector to bring up a real-time projection of the station. He scanned the docked ships and hissed once more. Impossible! He just engaged in prolonged combat. He should need at least 10 solar cycles to recover torso wounds like he suffered. Where did he go? Leroy ticked and hissed in frustration. This American is incredible. His endurance and pain tolerance must be unheard of. Likely the most elite of their commandos. Spread the word amongst the castes. There is no greater threat to the peace of the galaxy than Billy Bob, Space Trucker. Billy Bob was currently bobbing his head while driving his rig, music pouring out of the speakers. And I've been taking care of business every day, taking care of business every way. Emily was in the co-pilot seat studying a map of their route heading deeper into the core wood towards the capital. Billy Bob, the work songs your people come up with are rather incredible. Are the ones you have on file simply new takes on ancient farm songs?
What? No, some, maybe. I don't think so. We just like music. And there's other stuff out there. I just like work songs. Good for trucking, too. We sing about work and love and loss and, stuff. Well, most of us don't sing. We listen to other people who can sing. Some songs are a bit funny, even if they're good. Here. He scrolled through his implant and selected a new track. The music began, and he started bobbing his head again. As the singing started and he grinned, Emily frowned a little as she listened to the lyrics until she jumped a little as Billy Bob sang the chorus. Won't you give me 3 steps? Oh, give me 3 steps, mister. Give me 3 steps door to door. Then Billy Bob bit his lower lip and rocked the air guitar as hard as he could for a few seconds before grabbing the controls of the ship again.
It's a song about adultery and murder.
Sorta, he said with a laugh. The guy in the song isn't even pretending he's tough or anything. He's running for his life. Sometimes you step up and sometimes you get the feck out. Someone's got a 44 in your face, there's no shame in bugging out. One of my favorite bands. They have this song. He paused and got a faraway look in his eyes. I'll save that song for something special.
How is it that humans have so many genres of music from such a short period of time? I've said it before, but most species have one general trend to their music. You've got several. As far as I can tell, you change it every one of your decades.
Oh, and don't forget, I've mostly been giving you rock. I also have country and a bit of techno, but after those Skrillex messed you up, I figured you wouldn't like it.
She frowned at that. Wait, you've made music that sounds like a direct audio assault?
Yes, maybe. It doesn't sound like that to us.
Emily tried to process that for a moment, remembering the awful pain and nausea she felt when those creatures let forth the hideous sound. And humans had music like that. Perhaps the density made them less susceptible. It does pose a problem, however, if they figure out how to weaponize it.
So, how far is it to the next black market station? We need to buy supplies for our new pet,
Billy Bob said, which brought her back to reality. New pet? You don't mean the space cat dog, do you?
Yeah, I mean, we just set him up in a crate in the back and start settling in, right? He needs toys and a proper bed and stuff.
That's just an infant, you realize. It's not fully grown.
What? That thing's a good size for an earth animal, it sort of looks like. How big does it get?
Emily brought up the extranet from the co-pilot's chair and scanned through it for a minute to find him a picture.
What? That thing's a frigging horse! I could ride it!
I suppose. It's from a relatively high-gravity planet. It can support several 100 pounds and is often used as a pack animal, so sure. But why would you? We're on a spaceship traveling faster than light.
Yeah, so I've got a pet 6-legged fox thing that I can ride. How awesome is that?
You could sell it for 1 million credits.
You're gonna pay me a few billion. The feck do I need another million for?
Emily paused at that and thought it over. He had a fair point. She hadn't transferred any funds to him so far, but the contract they had in place from their first encounter seemed to be enough for him. Well, it's not practical.
Yeah, well, Americans aren't super big on practical sometimes. I'ma keep it. Also, I gotta change the name. Fox, horse, hawks? No, force? No, shit. Come on, Billy Bob. Gotta think up a better name.
Emily stared at him as he tried to rack his brain for a better idea.
Feck it, I'll just think up a personal name. He's a pet after all.
Emily waited for him to follow it up with a name, but he just blinked and cursed.
Shit, I gotta think this one over. I was about to say that he's got black feet, so I looks like he was wearing mittens, but, well, that name's taken.
He glanced over his shoulder at the cat. And then he looked at Emily.
What do you guys use for pet names?
Some people give them normal names. Some seem to do what you do, trying to assign them a name based on looks.
Shit, If he was a bird, I'd call him Leonard. He's not, so he went quiet again. I'll figure it out once we buy him some toys, and I take time to play with him.
Emily just shrugged. It really upsets you that those space hippies were trying to feed him veggies, didn't it?
Fuck yeah, it did. It's an animal. You don't try and feed a carnivore fruits and veggies, 'cause you wish he didn't eat meat. You feed him meat and fucking get over it. I wouldn't try to stuff a steak down the throat of one of those space hippies, damn it.
There was a pause as they were both quiet until the same moment he tilted his head and said,
I probably would.
While she said, You probably would.
Well, that's different, sort of, whatever.
He grumbled a little, while Emily just shrugged it off. They were only an hour from the next Black Market Space Goblin station, and spent the time listening to music. Billy Bob would every so often shout a name and then shake his head right after. He had to make this name count. Once they reached the station, they quickly docked, and Billy Bob looked over his weapons locker.
Should I suit up?
I don't think you need to. We're in about as good a standing with the space goblins as we can get. He nodded at that, but did take his M1911 just in case. Exiting the ship, they walked down the docking arm. No bloodstains, no flickering lights, just a few space ants standing around, scanning implants and waving people on as they entered. Billy Bob and Emily were approved quickly and waved on into the main hub. The sounds of a myriad of species buying, selling, and trading black and grey market goods filled their ears as they stepped out into the busy street like halls. Emily was looking around for some sign of a vendor who dealt with exotic animals, but Billy Bob gasped and ran over towards a street vendor. Behind the stall was a grizzled old one-eyed space goblin who glanced up at his customer.
Is that ice cream?
The space goblin looked down at his cart. In front of him was an array of colorful-looking cold moushes. Is it what?
Fucking ice cream, man. Frozen sugar and dairy.
What? No. Billy Bob looked crestfallen. It's ice with sugar and flavoring. But I warn ye, this cold could be for the faint of heart. It is kept at freezing temperatures and is loaded with enough sugar to stun many species. Many speak of the horrifying pain, known only as, the space goblin whispered, brain freeze. Billy Bob snapped down a credit cube and then grabbed what he thought was a serving cup. Dragging it through the blue frozen slurry, he pulled it up to his mouth and dumped a large chunk of it into his mouth. He shivered a little as the old space goblin stared at him in shock. That's a Titan-sized travel container. It's meant to feed 10 at a time. Billy Bob wasn't listening. He was turning and calling out,
Emily, slushies!
Before tilting his head back and downing more of the frozen treat. Looking over, she saw him and the shocked vendor before softly sighing and wondering what trouble he was causing now. And so ends another chapter in the adventures of Billy Bob, Space Trucker. I'd quickly like to thank our T5 Patreon and channel members, Casper Arnholtz, Jon Creighton, 050, Dragzoon W.R.E, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.